I'm going to answer the question, what Jesus Christ means to me. I had a wonderful father. When I was a child, I could not wait for my dad to come home from work. I, along with all of my siblings, would rush to the door when he came home, and he would come in the door and fall to the ground, and we would all jump on top of him as we laughed and screamed and played together. My dad was a musician, so we sang and played music together all the time. And then my dad and I began singing together in church, and I kind of became like his shadow. He taught me how to fix my bike, how to mow the grass, how to change the oil in my car, and how to change a tire. What's really neat about my dad is when I misbehaved, Dad didn't raise his voice, and he never spanked me. Instead, he would sit down beside me and we would talk about it. And he would remind me that he wasn't trying to hurt me, but he always wanted what was best for me. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that my dad loved me. Dad was always the first person I wanted to call with good news. And he was also the first person I wanted to call when I had struggles or problems. When I was 21, I got married to someone that my dad disapproved of, and I ended up moving out of state. But even though my dad didn't agree with my decision, he never rejected me. He never cut me out of his life. A few years later, although I knew I had disappointed my dad, he was the first person I called when my marriage fell apart. He didn't ask any questions. As a matter of fact, when I called him, he said, "I'm on my way." And he immediately left work, got in his car, and drove 6 hours to come to my rescue. My dad died when I was 24 years old, and I thought that I had died too. I went through a very difficult time. How would I ever be able to live without him? I kept wanting to call him or get his advice on something, and then I would just suddenly remember that he was gone. My life continued, but I had a deep wound and an emptiness that couldn't be filled. However, after several years had passed, I made a commitment to put Jesus first in my life. I began to read the Bible every single day. I joined a small women's Bible study that met weekly. And then when I was alone at home, I would play the piano and worship the Lord and sing at the top of my lungs. And what's funny is my heart began to change and I began to heal. It was a miracle. And I remember one day when I normally would have called my dad with some good news, this day, instead, I wanted to tell Jesus about it. And I suddenly realized that I was different, that I had been changed, that something deep inside of me was pursuing Jesus now more than ever. Now the one I wanted to share my joys with was Jesus. Now the one I wanted to share my hurts with was Jesus. My dad was an incredible example of unconditional love when he was alive. Today I have that kind of relationship with Jesus. He's with me in the celebrations of my life. He carries me through my valleys. We share everything together. I'm kind of like his shadow, and I can't imagine my life without him.